And certainly let's see how Lewis Leeds' career over the next 20 minutes or so pans out. Let's hope that he can live his dreams. He's going to be starting this race from the front row of the grid. Darren Smith and Rob James is with me right now. Rob, have a look at the famous Gardner Straight. I don't know whether it's Frank Gardner or is it Wayne Gardner.
It's choose your own adventure.
It's
Gardner.
A four-wheel race weekend, so it's Frank Gardner. If it's like MotoGP, it's Wayne Gardner. So let's do that.
Yeah, it depends on what licence
that's
the
it.
Phillip Island track is running this weekend. And we've got round 4 of the Cams Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. This is, so let me explain. This is race 1 of round 4. But we saw them this morning racing. This is because it's a double round this weekend. So we've actually got 6 races across the weekend, but this is a clean slate. Everybody out on field. No points at this race.
Well, the interesting thing is that this is what the kids are doing these days. If you're on Insta or Twitter or on Facebook, you'd know all that. But some of us aren't on Insta, Twitter and all that stuff you talk about. So this is a fresh round.
Yeah, exactly.
We qualified yesterday for this as well.
So as a millennial, you have 0 followers at the moment. So potentially you could have 25 at the end of it. And Lewis Leeds is on course at the moment to score those 25 followers or points because he starts from the Castrol pole position alongside Lockie Hughes. So Lewis Leeds was the winner of round 3. Of course, was only 0.05 off the race win, I should say, from Ryan. So it was a thrilling race earlier this morning, but it's a fresh start again with Lockie Hughes on P2, Ryan Saul P3, Emerson Harvey P4 in his first visit to Phillip Island with Antonio Studi in the top 5, Harry Hyack, Jackson Walls and Christian Mansell rounding out your top 8.
Cars coming around the top of the hill now. There they are, all compacted up. And I really like the way the Formula 4s, and I say this every time I see them, they come around very Formula 1-esque. They follow a line down and they peel off into their grid spots. I tell you what, if you want to simulate Formula 1, that's what you want to do. Talking to a racer that's done a lot of racing here, won a lot of races here, Rowan Ambrose, over the years and improved production. He's down here checking out F4 for his son, Cadell Ambrose, who's doing fantastic things in go-karting. So there's still lots of people checking out F4 and seeing where their karting proteges are going to go next. So we wish Cadell Ambrose and his father, Rowan, all the best with his racing career. And again, Cadell would be like this guy on screen, Jackson Evans. He'd be a second-generation racer with a father with a great pedigree. So we hope those guys have a great day and check out F4. That's what they're down here to have a look at. And let's see if one day we have Cadell Ambrose in one of these cars.
2 very famous names in Cadell and Ambrose for sure.
And I think it was born about the year that Cadell Evans won the Tour de France as well, so there might be some synergy there.
That's how we got confused. We got Lewis Leeds lining up on pole position. We've had harped on about this all day, but how good is Phillip Island when the sun's out? Everyone's in a good mood. The sun's out. The track is in supreme condition today. Thanks to all the volunteer officials certainly helping us go racing across the different categories at the Shannons Nationals.
And they were here this morning when it was 4 degrees. Yeah. So this is what, you commit to motorsport and it comes good. This is ideal. This is absolutely how you want to go open wheeler racing here at Phillip Island. Bathed in sunshine, cool ambient temperature, so you're getting max horsepower out of these turbocharged EcoBoost engines in the F4s. 23 Red Racing, Lewis Leeds, jumps away nicely. Lockie Hughes goes with him. They're going to go right wheel lock with each other underneath the Melbourne-Australia Bridge. Lewis Leeds eases him over to try and take the fastest run into turn 1. There's a bit of mixture up in the midfield there, but our leaders have jumped away nicely, Leeds and Hughes.
It was a fairly even start for Leeds and Hughes. And we're seeing in the mid-pack, we see Jackson Walls, Antonio Studi and Emerson Harvey going 3 wide into turn 1, which normally doesn't work out, but of course it's the opening lap, so the speeds are a little bit down. It'll be faster next time round, I can assure you.
Well, the interesting thing is that these guys will still be experiencing cold tyres. They've only had that out lap. Really, it's only a look around as much as you can weave and try and get some power. And Emerson Harvey looking up to challenge Lockie Hughes. The Shannons car down the inside there, holding them up. There's 3 wide. Jackson Walls, it's a Studi and Harry Hyack in there as well. He's mixing it up on his return to open wheeler racing.
Just had to hold my breath there. Normally we see a bit of carnage on the opening lap through Honda Corner, but they've all got away with that very cleanly. Fresh tyres for this run as well. So we qualified with a fresh set of hand-cooked tyres. We're back again to the allotment that we had yesterday on Friday. So they've only had 1 session. So the tyres we saw in race 3, 2 and 1, they won't see a comeback until we visit the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia. But that's in the future. The current is now, and Lewis Leeds, Lockie Hughes and Ryan Saul, top 3 so far.
Harry Hyack's got through on Jackson Walls there, gets away with it. The Lang car coming around turn 12. It'll be Lewis Leeds, Lockie Hughes there in the Leipzig car, the number 15. Then it's Ryan Sewell. Ryan hasn't managed to go with these two guys. He's one of the vastly experienced Formula 4 racers.
Oh, Harry High on the grass through turn 1. He went through, he tried to go on the inside, would you believe? He hasn't raced at this track since 2015. Ironically, it's Antonio Estudi with more Phillip Island experience than the 2015 F4 graduate in Harry Hayek, who makes his return to racing. Bit of a story with him, which we'll touch on later.
I don't ever want to see that again. I don't ever want to see an open-wheeler car go to the grass like that in the straight here at Phillip Island ever again. That is some brave stuff. I'm not sure that it did him any good either, but he's still in there. It's lost a spot to Jackson, which he made up around the back of the track. Let's see if he can make that spot up. I guess the aspect of that is we're just seeing Mansell going wide there as well. The aspect of what we just saw Harry Hayek do is he can tear a tyre up. If you're going off the back of the bitumen, there can be a rough edge there, and that's not what we want to see at all.
And it's early days yet as well for this round 2. This is a fresh start. No points again on offer. Well, there will be at the end of this race, but clean slate, clean tyres as well at this point. We're only on lap 2 at 12, so it's actually quite a long race, this one. So we're about 20 minutes in, and we saw it in race 3. You've really got to bide your time in terms of when you want to attack. You've got to conserve the tyre life. You don't want to sort of reach the peak performance of that tyre and then spend 4 laps trying to chase rear end grip. So Lewis Leeds and Lockie Hughes just hanging on in there at the moment, just a steady pace. Looks like the race has just calmed down a little bit. A bit of a train going on though, but not enough to make enough of a slipstream to attack through turn 1.
So, swings and roundabouts of car racing. Lockie Hughes this morning drove away from the line and was not headed over the entire 12-lap journey in the second race that they had today, which was the final race of round 3. Now he's got Lewis Leeds, who did hassle him. He absolutely hassled him right through towards the end of that race, and in fact it was .005 at the line between those two. But at the moment, Lewis Leeds is doing a tremendous job. This is car 7. This is Mansell. And Christian Mansell parked up. They're not too sure where that was. It was on a hard stand off the back of a corner somewhere. So
I reckon it's just off turn 1, perhaps.
No, he's right down at MG.
Yeah, so he's right in the middle.
And he's on the racing surface.
Yeah, that's a bit dangerous there. Wave yellow flags up there to warn the drivers of the car at the moment. They'll be approaching shortly. The team will be on the radio, certainly, to tell the drivers of the danger ahead.
That's not cool. That's one of the best passing places here under brakes at Phillip Island, particularly if you commit to this left-hander. You see a yellow flag out of the corner of your eye and you go, what are we coming across? There is the number 7. He's stricken off the side of the track right next to him. I know it's there. Just have to be aware that the yellow flags there can't draw alongside and perfect the passing manoeuvre. Yeah,
so he's actually not on the course. He's just on the runoff, just on the exit of that corner. It looks like he's trying to get that car restarted. So hopefully he can, move that Formula 4 Miguel under its own power. But it has not affected our race so far, with Lewis Leeds just extending that gap ever so slightly by 1/10 of a second over Lockie Hughes. Ryan Sewell in P3, who's double stinting in Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. Emerson Harvey in 4th place, his first visit to the island as well for the local Victorian. And Antonio Estudi in the top 5.
Yeah, Ryan Sewell, what an ideal weekend. Double stinting in a Porsche and an F4. He'll be well attuned to the track here. They've got a longer distance race, the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy for Porsches later on this afternoon. So I would suggest that Ryan Sewell will be absolutely in the box seat for that.
He's contending with a rolled ankle as well. So he's got everything to play for this weekend. He's got every sort of factor, every which way to, distract him. But he's hanging on in there in both classes. He's doing a bang-up job at the moment. As we see Antonio Estudi attempting to pass on Emerson Harvey.
That's for place. It's for 4th place. So jumping into the 5, the Shannons insurance car just opening up the spot there for the Apex blue and orange Miguel to slip down the inside there. Didn't look like he wanted to even challenge for that. So we've got a safety car. So that will be to remove the Christian Mansell number 7 car from MG corner. That's a shame. We did get 3 laps in, so we were 25%, near enough to 25% race distance before seeing the safety car. But the officials will have asked for a bit of extra safety so they can remove that car there. And I guess not an ideal spot, Rob, to have a car parked up.
No, exactly right. It's the right thing to call out the Hyundai i30 safety car, the fabulous safety car. The first time we've seen the safety car here at the Shannons Nationals for Formula 4. We saw it at the Australian Grand Prix back in March, but this is the first time we've seen the Hyundai out on course for the Shannons Nationals.
Great to see the support from Hyundai with the safety car here this weekend. Of course, we've got one of the local guys that a couple of years ago drove the McLaren safety car, Michael Parker, who is one of the course car drivers at the Australian Grand Prix. He followed the Shannons Nationals a couple of years ago to drive the McLaren. He had the BMW M4 last year, and now he's got the Hyundai i30N, and spoke to him this morning, said he had a couple of laps yesterday afternoon and felt like things were pretty good with that car. So big thanks to Hyundai for throwing their support behind the Shannons Nationals. And we'll go down to the pit lane because Emma Francesca has got our GT pole sitters.
Fraser Ross and Ryan Simpson, these are the guys that are going to be on pole position for that big 3-hour GT endurance race tomorrow. Ryan, let's just start with you. What a fantastic time, almost up there with Jamie Wimkamp, and you're in the M class. Well done.
Yeah, that was really fun. I knew qualifying would be good with the new tyres, so to get out there and match it with the likes of Jamie was just awesome fun. Really enjoyed it.
Fraser, you've been smiling all day long. Why wouldn't you be behind this beautiful brand new McLaren?
Yeah, exactly. The car is presented beautifully. The car is beautiful to drive. Ryan did an amazing job to be P1 there, and together to start on the front row of this first endurance race tomorrow is a nice way to set off our combination together, but also the 720S in Australia for the Endurance Championship.
What sort of prep do you do tonight, except for that very, very long sleep and, of course, carb loading?
Yeah, drink lots of water, hydrate. So it's a long race. It's quite physical in the cars and it's getting hot in there, so we want to feel fresh tomorrow. And Fraser's doing a great job. We're working well together and we've both got pace, so we're looking forward to a good result tomorrow.
It is a long race. How will you go for those 3 hours managing the tyres?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Is what we'll both learn and have a bit of a chat with our engineers tonight and work out a bit of a game plan. But look, we show that we've got the car speed over a single lap, so we'll just try to manage that over the course of the 3-hour race tomorrow.
Fraser Ross and Ryan Simpson, pole position for tomorrow's 3-hour endurance race. Well done, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks very much, Emma. Great to see those guys down there, Ryan Simpson and Fraser Ross, two guys that sort of lurk in the background of Australian motorsport, both very, very talented racers, and really good to see them across the pole, and of course bringing HSY Auto Parts and Opticoat along for the ride there as well. Really good stuff to see, and they're representing their sponsors out down there throughout this weekend. So we shout out to all of those people here that are sponsoring cars and drivers here this weekend. Thanks for your support, and thanks to Hyundai. It was a brief sojourn out on track for the safety car as Michael Parker will park it away very safely, and of course advertising the AMCAP safety ratings on the front of that car, all important to check when you're buying your new car. Formula 4 unleashed again. They come around the top, turn 12, and come plunging down the long straight here at Phillip Island, led by Lewis Leeds,
who got an absolutely brilliant restart. He bunched the field up together, and we see Lockie Hughes getting hassled by his own teammates in Ryan Saul on the approach to turn 1. They're going to be side by side through there. That'll be interesting. And I think Lockie Hughes may have just hung on in there. We'll see now. Lockie just hanging on in there, but Ryan Saul just warning his teammate that he's all over the back of him. Harry Hayek and Emerson Harvey side by side too.
Lockie Hughes getting a real good look over the side pot of his car as to where his teammate was there as well. We could see on that head-on shot the helmet was right arched around to see where he was. And, well, I guess that gave him a good position as to know exactly where he was and exactly where he could push the envelope to. And that's what he's done. They go side by side under brakes into Honda. It's going to be Lockie Hughes that holds him out there, but again, Lockie Hughes coming on under fire, under huge pressure.
And Antonio Escudi as well, getting a sense of deja vu from the earlier race that we had this morning with Ryan Saul. Of course, he had the masterclass of Lewis Leeds behind him, but he was in the front of that queue, so he doesn't know all of the secrets that Lewis got up to, but it was a similar sort of antics where, just trying to outbrake each other and get the switchback through Honda corners. We see Jackson Walls all over the back of Harry Hayek on the approach to MG. Lewis Leeds, Lockie Hughes and Ryan Saul, your top three at the moment. That has not changed at all yet, but still a little while to go. This will be a time certain finish for this race as well, so we won't get the full number of laps because of the safety car, but Lewis Leeds has a massive lead so far after that safety car. He really benefited from that safety car position. He's actually eked out quite a big margin before the safety car came out, so he's got a nice handy gap between he and Lockie Hughes.
So we are going to go time certain with this race. So he probably really only lost one lap of competition with the safety car. It was physically only one lap side by side. This is for the minors in this race. Hayek, Harvey, Walls mixing it up. And where do they come out? It's going to be Hayek, Walls and Emerson Harvey hanging off the back of the field there in the Shannons Insurance McGale. This is the battle. In fact, this is for 5th, 6th and 7th in the race. And Lockie Hughes and Lewis Leeds and Ryan Sewell now setting fastest sectors on this lap.
There's two very different motor racing stories between Harry Hayek and Jackson Walls. Harry Hayek, a graduate of Formula 4 back in the inaugural season in 2015. He went off to Europe and he had a monumental shunt in British F3, and he's recuperated since then and had a brief stint in the Super 3 Series last year, but now he's back in the Formula 4 Championship, just trying to restart his motor racing career, the young Sydney side, a real estate agent by trade as well now. He's got the gift of the gab, does young Harry Hayek, and he's certainly a gifted motor racing driver too. But Jackson Walls, with just more seat time under his belt with that F4 car, he knows the different ways to make the advantage, to make that pass stick aboard a Formula 4 car, and certainly around Phillip Island too. Harry hasn't raced here in about 4 years.
Quitting himself nicely as well. Just inside the 5 is Harry. And a great story that Rob has just outlined. We always love to see any sportsman, it doesn't really matter what it is, but if they give themselves an injury and they can fight their way back, that fight is massive. We saw Jeff Emery do it with GTs. He had a horrible crash in Western Australia whilst leading the championship, and took the championship as an injured driver, fought hard for the entire next season.
Have a look at this. Antonio Astudi having a crack at Ryan Sewell through turn 1. They were really close through there, but luckily the two very experienced Formula 4 pilots just hanging on in there and just giving each other enough room. Antonio Astudi will just be sending that little signal now to Ryan that, hey, I'm all over the back of you now, and I'm going to make that pass stick come hell or high water.
He's been all but thereabouts, Antonio, hasn't he? He sat off the back of that race with Lewis Leeds and Lockie Hughes the last race round. Ryan Sewell's probably got a little bit sick and tired of sitting there and waiting for the laps to count down. And they've essentially had 2 of those racing laps taken off them, and Lewis Leeds now driving with a 1.5 second lead, further second back to Ryan Sewell. There's the gap physically. The Cape Barron Geese getting front row seats as they come around Hayshed.
You can just see the body language of that AGI sport car, the orange and blue one. He's just eager to make that pass stick aboard the BRM machine of Ryan Sewell, who of course we've well documented his double stinting this weekend in Porsche, so he might be a little bit worse for wear in terms of lap times, but certainly enjoying his time in both F4 and the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge as well.
He'll be right. He'll be right.
He's a race driver. I've got no sympathy for him. He's having the time of his life.
Yeah, this will be the day of his life. He'll be well worn out tonight, but he just has to get to tonight. Alongside it, they go down the straight again. They're wheel locking, and that is some brave stuff between a couple of young racers. They're still wheel locking.
They're trying to get that side draft. There is still an aerodynamic advantage being that close to the car, so they're not doing it to sort of bully each other off the track. They're doing it to, I guess, get that minuscule aerodynamic gain. Because even in Formula 4, it's this thing we hear in F1, and I'm sick of hearing it, aero wash, I can't pass, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's the same thing in F4 as well. They want to get that minute difference because, of course, there's different levels of drag and downforce on these cars, which affects your straight line performance.
Look at this. This is lining up for position 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the moment. So we've got the lead 2, which are just out in front, and we're actually on the last lap now. So this is it is for sheep stations. That's exactly right. It's for a podium at the moment to try and drag the points. At the moment, it's 86 points to Lewis Leeds, 55 to Lockie Hughes, and 40 to Antonio Astudi. And we'll see how that plays out, because this could change. Under brakes down into MG this time around. Across the top of Lukey Heights. The wings disappear. And there's Lewis Leeds coming around the top part of turn 11. Transitions to turn 12. There's the entry to the pit road. Car number 23 for 23 Red Racing. Lewis Leeds has got a 2-second lead on the field. And he comes down the straight. Runs the wall as a Victor can do, and gets the checkered flag wave straight in front of his helmet. So Lewis Leeds takes race 1 of round 4 of the 2019 CAMS Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship, and the entire field follows him down behind.
I don't know whether Jackson Walls was congratulating his colleagues or just or being irate at them. So we'll find out in the aftermath of this race, but certainly...
Was he just happy to get to the line? I think it was like, yes, it's over.
I'm not sure if Jackson Walls was speaking with Italian hand signals there at the end of the race, but we'll find out later as we see Lewis Leeds taking the victory by 2 seconds over Lockie Hughes, and Antonio Astuzzi making a return to the podium in P3. Ryan still just missing out in P4. Harry Hayek in his return to racing P5. Jackson Walls, the feisty Italian, in P6. Emerson Harvey, P7. And Phillip Island debutant Christian Mansell, P8.
Great run there for the CAMS Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship. Gone time certain in the end, so it was a 9-lapper at the end, so they lost 3 laps with that safety car stanza where we saw the Hyundai i30N out on track. Of course, keep up with us on the socials, hashtag SN19. There's the shots from pit lane. It's going to be TCR next here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, round 2 of the Shannons Nationals.